Hello, my name is Patrick Takinen, and this is my Week 1 ITL 664 content presentation. I am a secondary level social science teacher in Orange County, California, and I'm also in my last class at National University to earn my master's in education. My action research topic is: what effects does technology have on language acquisition in the secondary level social science classroom? As I stated before, I'm in my first year teaching social science at the secondary level, and I'm going to have classes of freshmen and juniors for world history and U.S. history this year. My topic is centered around my subject of education because it keeps me personally interested in combing through research and allows me to look into or define different studies or research that may be necessary to use in the action research project. One of the reasons why I decided to focus on the use of technology in the classroom was because of how mainstream or relevant technology is becoming. And I've always just had this innate fascination with how technology works and how it can be implemented. It was very, very, very useful in the classroom when I was student teaching, and it's going to continue to be this year as well as I start teaching in my first year. Every student at the school that I'm going to be working at has access to a Chromebook. They get one at the beginning of every year. And I noticed last year, even some teachers allowed quizzes and tests to be taken straight through the technology. So that really interested me in how can technology be utilized in my action research project. When I first began introductory research into what my research topic should focus on, I was guided with the help of a national university instructor to observe data that demonstrated a growing English language population in Orange County and in the state of California specifically that single subject teachers are facing and may not necessarily be prepared for in the classroom. I know I will be challenged this year to teach and assist with English learner students in the secondary level classroom, and I've enjoyed learning about the processes and learning needs that many of these students will experience, so I've decided to implement that into my action research topic. So I have taken these 3 focus points into what I'm interested in and what I would like to know more about, and created my action research question. Just to reiterate, my action research topic is: what effects does technology have on language acquisition in secondary level social science classrooms? By using research studies, doctoral dissertations, and peer reviewed articles and studies, I have narrowed down the focus of my action research topic to specifically identify the potential effects that technology could play in language acquisition and development, and have included a potential to focus on English language learners among students that could be in my secondary social science classroom. In doing so, I have narrowed down the scope of my action research project, but I have also narrowed down the amount of usable statistical data that I can use to interpret or include in the research. I am investigating this topic for 3 main reasons. First, I've always had an interest in technology and the way that it can be implemented or utilized in a variety of settings. Second, I have taken an interest in English language learners mostly because of the courses offered by National University and the ability that teachers have to change the lives of their students. I think that working with English language learners is an extremely pressing issue at the high school level today, and teachers need to be trained and prepared to work with EL students. And finally, my college degree is in history, and my single subject credential is in social science through National. History has been a passion of mine since early elementary school. I have no doubt that this passion for history came from my father, who taught history classes at the high school level for nearly 25 years. In planning to find the answers for the research question posed, the tools I utilized include teacher and student surveys, a briefing to teachers and students, classroom observations conducted over a 4-week period in 3 different social science classrooms, and a debriefing once the collection of statistical data has been recorded. The collection of data comes from test results, quiz results, and any writing samples that the teachers have collected over a 4-week period. The focus of the research aims to see if student language acquisition has occurred over a 4-week period, with the emphasis on technology in the classroom, and the same procedure would be followed in 3 separate classrooms for a total of 12 weeks, or 4 weeks per class. I've also included a week at the beginning to brief teachers and students and gain the permissions needed, and a week at the end to debrief the teachers and students once the research has finished being conducted. The resources that I have utilized for this project all examine various roles of technology or language acquisitions in United States public schools, but do not only focus on the social science classroom because of a surprisingly large lack of research and insightful or usable data. The resources have all been released within the last 5 calendar years, as suggested through National, but many of the sources cite data or teaching methodologies that stem back much further than those last 5 years. The resources collected have given me a mixed approach to conducting the methodology portion of the Action Research Project, with an emphasis on both teacher and student surveys, as well as observations and the collection of data from multiple classrooms. The National University Library was an extremely resourceful tool for my Action Research Project and helped to establish the foundation for my project. I also utilized a few resources from the Google Scholar search, and every resource pulled from Google Scholar was published by either a university or a government website, which let me know that it was a trusted site. For my methodology, the goal is to demonstrate growth, or a lack thereof, from the specific use of technology in the social science classroom. I've already given the basics of my methodology, but will expand in more detail here. The Action Research Methodology section should take approximately 14 weeks to complete because I am going to use 3 different classrooms to conduct research. The first week of methodology is reserved for teacher interviews and pre-planning, to gather how teachers use technology and what teaching methods or strategies they utilize. Another goal during this first week is to discuss with teachers how many English learners they have in their classroom. After this week is completed and the introductory data has been collected, the research is broken up into 3 4-week periods. During week 1, the goal is to pre-test the students on their use of technology, as well as conduct classroom observations to determine the level of familiarity with both technology and the language of the unit being studied. Teaching strategies will be observed, and data should be collected after teachers have assessed the materials. And planning for interviewing the teacher with the data available should also be prepared. During week 2, the focus of the methodology shifts towards observation, collection of materials, and interpreting data from the students in the classroom. Data collection includes informal assessments and quick writes from the students, and will gauge the early progress they may be showing in the classroom. During week 3, the focus shifts towards teacher and student interviews, and the student interview should include an English language learner and a non-English language learner student. The teacher interview focuses on their specific opinions of technology and what they may find valuable or insightful in terms of language acquisition and vocabulary development. During week 4, there should only be 1 day of new materials, a day to review the study guide materials for the upcoming assessment, the assessment itself, and then a debrief with the students following the completion of the unit test by all students. Day 5 during this week allows for additional student or teacher interviews if time is available. The study then repeats itself for the next classroom, and adjustments may need to be made if teachers are in the middle of lessons or units, so that you can start from a new unit with new vocabulary and new language that needs to be learned. After completion of the methodology section across all 3 classrooms, the researchers should debrief with all 3 teachers and return to collect any and all materials that have been approved for release. An additional day is scheduled to present findings to administrators or teachers if they would like to view what research has been found, and this day can also be used to follow up with any questions or comments they may have. The final prompt for this week 1 assignment says to share advice that I would give myself in terms of the research strategies for time management, curating, or organization. I would say the most valuable advice that was presented along the way, and that I would utilize again in the future, was to learn how to properly utilize the National Library website to gather the resources needed in an efficient and timely manner. When researching, time can be saved and everything can be curated much simpler by knowing how the search box works and by eliminating articles or studies that are too old, don't match the topic at hand, or are not entirely relevant to the question that I posed. My plan for the future is to continue teaching at the high school that I have been hired at, and I have considered working towards an additional focus in administrative duties and responsibilities. For now, I will continue to teach as well as coach at the high school that has given me an opportunity to develop as a professional educator, and I look forward to gathering many years of experience in my educational setting.